love production, baby. Welcome to TORAH Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingston, Texas, USA, with episode number 54 or something like that of TNT, Twisted New Testament with Rabbi Stuart Federow from Houston, Texas. That awesome dude. Welcome back, Rabbi. Gonna let the music play for a second so you get the finger dance in. Come on. There it is. That's what we were waiting for. All right. Very, very good, man. How are you doing, Rabbi?
Thank God. Plugging away as usual.
Right on. You must continue.
Wait, what did you say about my right arm?
Did I?
You said right arm.
Right on. Okay, I'm going to switch glasses, get the glare down a little bit. Look through a little scratch, but it's okay. I can still see all right. Awesome. Well, cool. It's good to see everybody. Cincy, is that my reading that right? Litigator. Eddie Ramirez, Kelsey Lynn, good to see you. Grant Dunn, Delane. Pleasure seeing all you guys there. Okay, so the first topic we're going to kick off this thing with is, as you will know, notice you'll see all of your comments will be on the screen for later viewing, so you can remember who said what. Anyway, so tonight I was thinking it'd be kind of cool to go over. The topic is kind of bifold, or could be bifold, or we can only talk about one aspect of it is. And also, as we're talking about this topic for the show, feel free on the comments to help give us some more clarity, because there's some things that I'm really gray on, some areas Rabbi might be. But one thing I noticed about all the
well,
viewers,
I'm especially gray in my hair, so.
Nah, I'm catching up with you, man. More and more. I really contemplated just for one time, just to see what I look like young again, is to just dye all my facial hair and all my hair, just to see how many years it takes off. But I don't know. I'm just going to let it go. I don't really care. Gray or white, silver, whatever. Who cares?
Right.
So
yes, there's always boot black you can blacken.
That's funny. You'd hear something really crazy one time. We had when I was a kid, we had our little Halloween party or whatever at the school when I was like in elementary school, and my stepdad thought it would be cool to dress me up like what was that show with oh my gosh, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, Grease.
Grease.
Yeah, so a white T-shirt rolled up, had a cigarette pouch rolled up in my sleeve, the whole deal. But for my hair, he used to have Brill cream, but he didn't have any. He was out, so he used lard, and he put
God,
totally lard in my hair, slicked it back, and it was fine, but it was hot. And we went outside to play, dude. It felt like my head was cooking. It was so gross. Grease was dripping off. They had to send me home. That was hilarious. Gray, white is a sign of wisdom. I will take that.
Yeah, thank you. I like that. Thank you, Delane.
Yes, indeed.
You're being very kind to say that.
Indeed. So basically, we're going to watch the comments as usual. And so as we're talking, if you think of something
Speaking of which,
yep.
Angel says, silver is all the fashion. Even the college kids are going platinum. Couldn't believe it. I agree. I've seen that too. And I also couldn't believe it. So
no kidding.
You never know.
How about that?
Yep.
Right on. Okay, cool. So we'll kick this topic off, and we'll watch for your comments, because I know all the viewers out there have some really brilliant comments to add to our shows, and I really appreciate that. So let me make sure I've got this thing back. Whoops, hold on. I got to scroll my screen to where I'm catching all the comments. There they are right there. Yep, that's the last one. Okay, good deal. All right, so I'll try to leave that alone so it doesn't move around. Okay, so the topic for tonight is basically listed as, did Jesus fulfill the commandments? But the idea was, did he really break any commandments? But I was thinking, you could kind of go either way with the title, so we left it with fulfill, because the biggest thing in the New Testament was, and with the whole Christian concept of not obeying the law or not having to keep it, is that Jesus fulfilled all the commandments. So yes. First of all, what does it mean to fulfill something? I mean, if you could use something in Judaism to say, well, I fulfilled my part, whatever, use that somehow and try to kind of reshape what those first century writers were even trying to think.
The only thing I can say is, you and I have a contract with each other. I will give you $100 and you will make an ark for me.
Okay.
For my synagogue. You make the ark, I give you $100. The contract is fulfilled. so that my obligation to you and your obligation to me has been concluded.
Okay.
Okay, but a law, a commandment, has no end point until the group that creates the law says, we're voting this law down, we're not going to do this law anymore, we're replacing it with that law, whatever, but the group that makes the law changes the law.
And perfectly parallel with what you just said, Grant Dunn. How can you fulfill something that lasts forever? That's a covenant for all eternity. That's brilliant.
Grant, that's exactly where I was heading.
That's brilliant.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The point is that if God makes the covenant with the Jews, and part of that covenant is to keep a law eternally, because the covenant is eternal, then
yes,
then what are we talking about?
Right.
And what happens is that when Christians say, New Testament says that Jesus came to not to
abolish
the law, but to fulfill it.
Right.
Okay, but Christians will say that by his fulfilling it, it's abolished.
Right.
But how can if he says, I came not to abolish, but to fulfill, and then they say his fulfillment
abolishes the law.
They're kind of missing what the sentence means.
Right, exactly. I've literally chuckled over that for years, even as a Christian. When I was a Christian, I was like, why do they keep saying this? I mean, even I can see that it's obviously being completely misused. So, but you brought up something more important too. Of course, you can't really argue this to them because they think that Jesus is God. But you brought up a good point, was that whoever created the agreement would have to be the one to modify it, whatever, or change it or cancel it. And God never canceled it. But they say that Jesus was God, and so God did cancel it through Jesus. And so how do you fight that?
When were the Jews all worldwide pulled back to a mountain where God is revealed to them and communicates with them all at once and says, the laws are no longer in effect.
Right.
Somehow I don't remember that ever happening.
Right.
So if God himself doesn't come to the Jewish people as a group all in one place to say, no more law, then the law is still operative. Okay.
Deuteronomy 4:2.
Do what?
Deuteronomy 4:2 was a comment I think you just spotted.
Let's see.
4:2. Okay, so if Jesus fulfilled the law in Matthew 5:17, why not in Deuteronomy 12:2? So you shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish from it, that you keep the command. That's really, really good. That's a good connection together. Well done. That would be
4:2. I thought he said 12:2.
4:2. So Jamie Behan, good job on that one. Nice. Hey Mia, good to see you guys.
Right. By the way, there's another element that needs to, or not element, but I would call it my analogy to the statement that Jesus fulfilled the law and therefore we don't have to keep it. If to fulfill a law means to obey it, or if to fulfill a law means to obey it perfectly, let's talk about driving. And you've heard me say this before.
Yeah.
Okay. You come up, there's somebody who's driving a car in front of you, and you come up to a stoplight, and the person in front of you does the laws regarding a traffic light perfectly. He pulls up, he stops exactly where he's supposed to stop, the light changes, he looks both directions, whatever the laws are governing obedience to a traffic light, he does it. So that means nobody else anywhere in the world ever has to obey a traffic light again because they were once fulfilled perfectly. Makes no sense. It just absolutely makes no sense.
I mean, I see their disconnect because they say, well, it's a spiritual thing, not a physical thing. But still, that doesn't.
Law. How can a law be only be only spiritual?
Agreed.
You know, for example, don't eat pig. That's may have spiritual, effects or effects, whatever. That's one word I'm always not clear on. Is it effect or effect? Well, at any rate, it may have them, but it's still a physical, don't eat is a physical thing. So
right on.
Just crazy.
Right. I forgot to log into Ring Central. By the way, Jason Akers, good to see you, buddy. You said better late than never. I always thought it was better Nate than lever. Just, yeah, whatever. Okay. It was I can't even remember the joke. I just remember the punchline.
Yes.
Better Nate than lever. So, okay. So, hang on one second. I'm stretching. Okay, we're logged in. Cool. I guess I should put the number up on the screen.
Hey, William.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
For which you'll shoot me dead.
I don't care. You can ask me anything. Embarrass me. I don't care. Go ahead.
If a person with two legs can get a job anywhere he or she wants, where can a person with only one leg get a job?
Why do I feel like this is a joke?
Me? Where can a person with only one leg get a job? IHOP.
I thought it was going to have something to do with leaning, like I lean. Whatever. at the lean agency, that would be loan, not
right.
lean.
Yes.
Okay.
IHOP.
Yeah. You're a crazy man. That's okay. That's all right. Okay. So, the phone number. Shoot. Sorry. There it is right there. Phone number's on your screen, 855-95-BIBLE. Remember that, so that way when you're on the go, you won't have to question how to reach us. So, and the phone lines are open. Well, almost. They want me to download something. Let me remind it later.
Jamie asks, Rabbi Federow, why does John 3:16 claim that God gave his only son so that whoever believes in him will be saved, even though this clearly violates Deuteronomy 24:16? The answer is quite clear. Because Christianity doesn't follow Judaism, doesn't follow the law, doesn't follow the Bible, doesn't follow the Torah. Okay, next question.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's true, though. I mean, that literally creates...
What else can you say? Ask Christians, not us.
I mean, here's the thing.
They're clearly in the wrong.
My whole point of, if Jesus was really trying to, fulfill the law or obey the law, he would have spent his entire career teaching the law. But he didn't. He mentioned support of it, but the comment. Well, here's the thing: we don't know what he said. Yes, I have to say, if he even existed for those people out there, I'm not questioning that whether he did or didn't. Honestly, at this point in my life, I don't really care whether he did or didn't because it doesn't affect me. But for all the people out there who it does affect, no one knows what Jesus wrote. What's said, because he never wrote anything down himself. And the stuff that was written was 30, 40, 50, 60 years later. And it's so he may have been a Torah teaching dude. And maybe all the people listening to him and writing all the stuff down just missed all of it. I don't know. But the point is, the documents, the contract, if you want to call it that Christianity uses has conflicting issues. And that's what they need to understand. And so that's kind of what we're here to point out. So,
okay. Mia Indigo writes, how to explain to a Christian that the Trinity cannot be like the 10 emanations of the Sefirot, that God created the worlds. Think of a light bulb that gives off different waves. Is that the right answer, the right word? Of light.
Right. Okay.
The way in which, according to my simplistic, naive, not raised in the mystical, Kabbalistic world, mind works, is that God's emanating like a light bulb emanates light. And that emanation is how God, according to Kabbalah and mystical Judaism, reveals. But the Trinity isn't a wavelength. It's not a light. It's not these are entities. These are persons. When they say the Trinity is three persons in one, how do we understand the word person? That's an entity in and of itself. An emanation, a systematic way of revealing God to us is not the same thing as an entity. God may emanate understanding. Bina. But we're not going to shake the hand of a person named Bina. We're not going to, put our arms around him and, walk down a street together. We're not, it's emanation is the way in which God reveals. Okay. But their concept of Trinity is persons, entities, individuals, separate from each other, but somehow one and the same. Even though the New Testament, that's a evening in and of itself. Okay, so that's the best way I would explain it. I'm not sure that's clear, and I'm not sure that's an accurate portrayal, but that's the way I would handle it. Okay.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, and someone asked, just for a quick answer, someone asked for a good translation of the Bible Hebrew. It's the only translation. Actually, it's not a translation. It's the language. But the point
here's go ahead.
Point being, there are some that are good enough for you to get by on.
Well,
that's the point.
Exactly. There's some that are better than others.
But King Jimmy ain't one of them. New King James ain't one of them. You can squeeze by with it, but it's not.
Wait a minute. I'm going to have a very unpopular opinion on that. Okay. Yes, everybody in the world knows that the King James has problems. Okay. But a lot of the problems that the King James has centers in on those verses which, from a Christian perspective, are important. And so you have to look, I don't care what translation it is. If I was going to name any one translation, okay, I wouldn't, because I can't stand any of them. And anybody who knows Hebrew even simply, okay, can pick out mistakes in translations. Sure. Just knowing the basic elemental grammar.
Right.
Okay. 53:9, Isaiah. Okay. You can see it in the Hebrew. All right. But barring those verses which are in fact Christologically important, okay, the King James isn't that bad. It's just corrupted in some places. And if you know the places, you can get the sense of what the verse is actually trying to say. The problem comes down with if you take it literally as this is the word that was used in the Hebrew, now you got problems no matter what translation you have. Okay.
Right.
What I tell people to do is to take any three translations, set them next to each other, okay? And you want to know what a verse means, okay? Don't take any one translation literally, but get the sense of the verse from three different translations, and you'll know what it's talking about. William, do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, look, my first go-to, because it's the cheapest and it came with almost every Bible program that's on earth, because you can't copyright a 1611 translation or 16 whatever it is. Okay, the one that came after the 1611 for the King James. So I will go to that one first because it's on my computer. Okay, and I don't have billions of dollars to spend on every single translation that costs money. Okay, but
right.
Okay, if I'm not relying on the computer so I can copy paste real quick just to get a sense of a response and answer to something somebody says, and there are times where I will take the King James and I will edit it. I will change things around to be more accurate, so it's not really a King James that I'm quoting. Oh, good. We have real quickly. Okay.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay, just real quickly. The next one I use, believe it or not, is the Revised Standard Version, because I get a lot of questions about the New Testament as well. And when I'm asked about, I have to have it in front of me. The Revised Standard Version is honest enough that in the translation, if they are using something that's not based on the Hebrew scriptures, like the Syriac or what they call the Septuagint or whatever, okay, not all the time, but most of the time, they are honest enough to put a little note that says, what we have up here, we're taking from the Syriac or the Greek or whatever, but the actual Hebrew reads, and it tells you what the Hebrew says.
Okay.
They don't do it all the time. They do it often enough. that'll make it worthwhile, especially to show a Christian this is a Christian translation, but look here. All right. I'll use the stone. I'll use Chabad Online. I'll use but for anybody who's just trying to understand what in the world the Bible is talking about, get 3 translations and compare each translation and get the sense of what the author is saying, and then go from there. Right. That's really what I would suggest.
Very good.
Sorry to take so long.
No, you're good. Okay, so I'll put this on Facebook Live just for a minute so people know. Go to youtube.com/Tanakh Talk, TENAKTALK, and you'll find this live video. You can watch it professionally there. Here is kind of like a cell phone recording of the actual professional video. So if you want to watch it good, go to YouTube. Anyway, I'll leave this on for a few more minutes. Okay, let's take this caller. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Oh, well, you know who I am. I'm Stephen Roth. How are you? Rabbi Federow, is my first time on the show. Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, Stephen, welcome.
First of all, thank you so much for what you guys are doing. It's a tremendous Kiddush Hashem, and Hashem should bless you, and you should have a happy and healthy Purim.
Thank you.
My question is thank you, Purim Sameach. My question to you is I'm involved in these online forums with various Christians, and I have this one. And I think either he's sick or he's smoking something and not sharing.
Both, probably.
I mean, yeah, you know those types. He says to me, he swears that Alma means virgin. And I asked him, would you tell a Chinese person how to make an egg roll? How do you have the audacity to tell a Jew what the word Alma means? So what does this guy do? He says that if you look at Rivka, it says Alma, so therefore that means Vesula. I said to him, egghead, Alma is telling you that she's a young woman and that she's a virgin, because there are virgins that are old, and there are young women who are not virgins. And all he said was this circular reasoning, and he started quoting Septuagint, and I said the Septuagint doesn't exist on anything other than the 5 books of Moses. So it says Jerome.
And even then, the original Septuagint was lost because the Jews hated it. They called it an abomination, a national tragedy. They're not the ones who kept the original Septuagint of the Torah. That was done by the church later. And we don't know that the Septuagint they use of the Torah is the Septuagint that the actual 70 did. Keep that in mind.
Right, and I also asked him, I said, does it make sense that God would have to look at a Greek rendition of the Torah to figure out what Alma means? Like, oh, gee, it's like the chief rabbi of Israel not knowing how to make a laning on a piece of Gemara, and he has to look at an art scroll, to figure it out. I can't do it on my own, So how do you... Is there a point where you just say, listen, this person has checked out with reality, don't bother? Because I'll be honest with you, I just want to know, is there a point where you just stop arguing?
Steve,
because there's so much corruption out there.
Yes. When their emotions take over from their intellect, okay, you've lost the conversation, because they will never give up on their emotions because they can't. Okay, and they usually become very mean-spirited when they're being confronted by the truth, and they recognize it's the truth inside, but outwardly it makes them angry. They're afraid because you're correct. They're afraid that you're correct, because if you're correct, then their whole basis falls apart. And their emotions, not their intellect, their emotions will not let them do that. And it's like talking to a heroin addict with the heroin being into their arm to tell them how bad the heroin is, and all they're going to say is, "But it makes me feel good," which is all they're about anyway. It's feelings. So,
right, you can right. So it's a matter of emotion. So it's like insulting your relative kind of thing, right? It's like if somebody makes fun of your mother or brother, you get really insulted.
Immoral, unethical, that's what it is. Whatever. It's
that's a really great example he just said. It'd be like somebody talking about your mother or your father or a brother or someone who's like personally connected to you.
Exactly.
You just automatically go on defense.
Rabbi Singer always talks about the Christian's love of Jesus, literally love of Jesus, like you're talking about loving a mother and they're attacking your mother.
Right. Very true.
The thing is
just
that...
one last point. I guess Jesus is a theological teddy bear. It's just like, it makes me feel good.
Well put.
And okay, one last point, and I'll let you go with this. I don't want to hog the lines, but the most insane thing is when Christians who are against the Talmud, why is that insane? Because Ruth, who is the progenitor of David, the whole reason she was allowed to come into the congregation was because she was a female Moabite, not a male Moabite. That distinction was taught in the Talmud. So if you reject the Talmud, then King David is not Jewish, and therefore Jesus can't be related to him.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference if he's coming from David, because he's not Jewish. So it's a moot point. So even if you say, yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
And the same thing, okay, at the same time they're condemning the Talmud to prove how Jewish they are. They'll wear tzitzit. They'll wear a yarmulke.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They'll everything they do, okay, physically is Talmudic based, but then they'll turn around and condemn the Talmud as being the religion of men or whatever they say about it. It's like they're schizophrenic. It's like they're, right.
Right.
I had listen to this.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Hey, man.
Have a wonderful Yontif, and thank you for taking my call.
You betcha. Take care.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's awesome. Rabbi, what's interesting is my biological father has he's a Messianic, right? And when he found out I named my construction company 613 Construction, he goes, "You shouldn't do that." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because that's like oral law. It's like, I mean, that's not really 613 commandments. That's like straight from the oral." And I'm thinking to myself, same thing. The guy who's telling me he's wearing a yarmulke and he's wearing tzitzit and he's a Messianic, and I'm thinking he's telling me to not do that because of the oral law. Their entire existence is about that, right?
All you have to do is Google. Forget Google. Go to JEWFAQ, like frequently asked questions. This is JewFAQ.org. They'll not only have a list there, it's probably all over the internet. They'll have a list there of all 613 commandments and the explicit verse in Torah that they derived the law from.
Okay. Have you been watching these the comments we've been seeing?
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
I haven't either. So I'm going to end.
Wait. Just give me. Let's move it back up.
That's fine.
Let's see. Shalom from Australia. Okay. Hi, Tracy from Australia. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, do me a favor. I got one for you real quick. It was on the chat. In fact, it was earlier, and I know we missed that one. It was probably one of the earliest ones. What was wrong with Jesus cursing the fig tree in the New Testament? Was there something wrong, like in the view of Judaism and Torah, as far as Tanakh goes? What's the overall viewpoint in your perspective?
Okay, it's made explicitly clear by the passage in the New Testament. Should I condemn you? Should I condemn you to death because you cannot lift a 400,000-pound piece of steel?
Right. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't look at it.
No, that's what it explicitly says. It was not the season for figs. Jesus gets mad at it for not having figs, but it's not the fault of the tree because it's not the season for figs. He condemns it. They come back later. It's like 5 or 6 verses later. I forgot how many verses later. And they see that the tree is withered to its roots.
Mark 11:21. It looks. Mark 11:12. Okay, I'm going to go there.
Okay. Let's see. Mark 11:12.
Yep.
Okay.
12 through 21.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Let me put it up on the screen here if I can. If I can find it. There it is. I'll use this screen here for now.
And seeing a fig tree leaving, and he came and happily came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for the time of figs was not yet. He says, no man eat fruit of thereafter forever. Okay. They go to Jerusalem, they come back, or they leave Jerusalem. Behold, the fig tree has that you cursed is withered away. 11:21. Okay. And this is supposed to be some measure of a person's faith. If you do not doubt in your heart, you should be able to destroy a mountain. Wow. If you say to this mountain, be removed and cast into the sea, and if you don't doubt in your heart, in other words, if your faith is really pure, then it'll happen. So the measure of your faith is your ability to destroy. I think that whole story is messed up.
Interesting.
I mean, really messed up. Okay, that's one thing. Second of all, and I forgot who, I could have sworn I saw this up there, but somebody on the chat may have already said this, but isn't God the one we praise? Okay, Baruch atah, and it ends Borei Pri Ha'etz, creator of the fruit of the tree.
Right.
So if Jesus is supposedly God, why does he only choose to destroy it? If you take a look at the Christian's New Testament, like pick it up and actually read it, which I think very few people actually do, because they're so busy trying to put into it what they want to see there. Same thing with the Hebrew Scriptures. They don't really realize what's there. Jesus was a violent man. Jesus made his own whip to beat people in the temple. He condemns innocent little piggies, by putting demons or whatever, into them, and then he forces them to go into the ocean. But if he can force them to go into the ocean, why can't he just destroy them? Why can't he force the demons alone to go? He's a very violent man, condemning the tree, overturning the tables. Have you had everything you needed while you were with me? Yes. Well, now I tell you, you need one more thing, and that's to take what you have and go buy a sword. Okay. If you do not believe, have those who will not have me reign over them, bring them before me and kill them. Okay. Jesus was a very violent prone man. Right. Forget this line from Isaiah 53. Although he had done no violence, Jesus was a very violent person. Where they get this idea of man of peace, the mistranslation of Prince of Peace is just beyond me, because the description of the New Testament contradicts that image. Okay, so what else did you find?
Let's see. Not sure. I'm writing down something here real fast. Hang on.
Okay, did that one. Let's see. What Bible do you get the true meaning of that's what I'm saying. Okay, Angel, you get three, 4, or 5 different translations. Compare them, you'll get the sense of what they're trying to say. Okay.
Okay. I'll tell you what, there's almost...
Let's see.
I got to go back and rewatch this video when we're done. There's a lot of really deep comments in here.
Yeah.
So one thing, going back...
Kimberly... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. If you found something, go with it.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going back to the original... Oh, I got to get my YouTube chat back in line right there. Okay, so the original title for tonight's show had to do with did Jesus fulfill any of the commandments, because that's the whole idea of the New Testament. But my cross point to that is, did Jesus break any commandments? And there's a list, like you mentioned before. We'll try to find that website that's actually got them in a specific order and how they relate to Torah and Tanakh. Just time and time again, where it looks like this was just really not exactly the good Jewish boy we all thought he was. Now, again, these are stories told about him, so whether they actually happened or not, according to the writers, who knows? You know what I mean? So you have to be taken with a grain of salt. So, but we'll see if we can find that a little bit later. Fernando, welcome, brother. Let's see. Watch. Check out on YouTube. Okay, cool.
All right. Kimberly asks, what is your belief on apocryphal and pseudepigraphical books? Are they or are they not part of the original Torah scrolls? Okay.
Torah scrolls, you mean...
I'm just telling you what it says.
Okay, so she's probably meaning like the Book of Maccabees and things that are actually in like the Catholic Bibles. Actually, I'm not Maccabees. Sorry, Maccabees.
Right, but
I got the Maccabees music in mind. So
what's the definition of the word apocryphal? Okay,
right.
What exactly does it mean of doubtful authorship?
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what you're looking for, Kimberly, because by definition, they can't be part of the Torah, the original Torah scrolls. The original Torah scrolls are only going to be made up of the 5 books of Moses: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Okay, the period of time you're talking about is what's called the intertestamental, between the testaments, between the Hebrew Scriptures and the Christian's New Testament time period. That's when they were written. Okay, and pseudepigrapha means a pseudonym. So if Stuart Federow writes a book, okay, nobody's going to pay attention. But if I write the book and claim that it was actually written by Enoch, okay, about whom the Bible says that Enoch walked with God, it never says he died. It says Enoch walked with God. That means that Enoch is going to be privy to information Stuart Federow didn't have. And so that's what it. Okay, we got a phone call, but Kimberly, it couldn't be part of the Torah scroll because the Torah goes back 1,000 years before, at minimum. Okay, look, if David lives about 900 BCE, to use the Christian numbering system, okay, then the Torah is well before David. Okay. The pseudepigraphal books, the Apocrypha, are the intertestamental period 2,000 years, 1,700 years later. It's clearly not going to be, whoops, sorry.
You're good.
Clearly not, I think I just broke your hand again.
I don't even think it matters. I don't think it's picking up.
All right, anyway. So, Kimberly, it's not going to be part of the Torah. It's not going to be anything related to the Torah. They were written in the wrong language, in the wrong period of time, about post First Temple destruction events. Okay, reject. Don't bother with them. Okay, now, what were you going to say? Oh, I'm sorry, you got a caller.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I knew that. I was just teasing you.
I was going to say, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from. In about 10 seconds. 9, 8. Caller, can you hear us? I see we're connected.
Hello, William. This is Fernando from South Carolina.
Hey, Fernando. Welcome back, brother. How are you? What's the question for Rabbi tonight?
I'm gonna make a question since you're talking about the commandments that Jesus broke.
Yes.
Now, before I do that, I just want to tell you a little feedback. The sound on the line sounds muffled. I can barely understand you. But if you can hear me well, I'll tell the rabbi what I would like to know.
Okay, go right ahead. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. He can hear you fine, more than likely, and I think I can too. So.
Okay. So, what is the rabbi's opinion on the situation when Jesus didn't care about his disciples eating without washing their hands and not following the tradition, and also on picking wheat on a Sabbath and breaking also another law? Right.
Okay. And then quoting the whole thing about... I will hang
up because I cannot understand very well over the phone.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Talk to you soon, Shalom.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Fernando. My response is this. Okay. It even goes out of its way to quote the rabbinic saying about God does not... I'm sorry, start over. That man doesn't serve the Sabbath serves man. Okay, in the passage you're talking about. I always think that's actually rather funny. But what do I think about it? Jesus is clearly flaunting the law. He doesn't care about the law. The law goes back to something we were talking about earlier, but not necessarily in this context. Okay, God says to the Jews, if you want to make a sacrifice for the pilgrimage festivals at the place that I will cause my name to dwell, which is the temple, okay, eventually going to be the temple, in Deuteronomy he says, take the animal you want to sacrifice, convert it into money, carry the money to Jerusalem, to the temple, the place where I cause my name to dwell, change the money, which means you have to have money changers, into the local currency, because you're not coming from the same country with the same currency, okay, and then take it and buy the sacrifice you want to buy. So God is demanding in Deuteronomy that the money changers and the sellers of sacrifices be at the temple. Okay, right. So there's a lot of things that Jesus does to flaunt the law, to wave his nose at it, to thumb his nose at it. Okay, Jesus and again, which goes back to something that William, you said, we don't know what Jesus actually said.
Right.
We don't know what Jesus actually believed or did. And remember something. The writings of Paul predate the Gospels.
Right.
Okay. So that being the case, okay, you already had Paul with his what's called antinomianism, his being against law, and talking about the law as a curse. And the only reason God has the law is so that you'll know that you sin, and therefore the law is teaching you need your Jesus. Okay. But then you've got quotations in the Gospels which put into the mouth of Jesus statements that are very pro-law. Okay. Rabbinic law. Okay. Do what the Pharisees tell you to do. Don't do as they do, but do as they say. Okay, because the Pharisees sit in the seat of Moses. What that means is that the authority of Moses is passed down to the Pharisees, who, by the way, eventually became the rabbis. Okay, so you've got this dichotomy you got this war between Paul and the authors of the Gospels.
Right.
Okay, so you want to say he sinned, you want to say he transgressed Jewish law. I agree with that, assuming that what the New Testament says he did, and not polemic put in the mouth of Jesus to make it sound like Jesus was against the law, which reflects Paul, whereas other places Jesus is very pro-law, like what I just quoted about the Pharisees. So
Okay.
I hope that goes towards what Fernando was asking.
Right, and the whole point about Matthew 5:17, where he did say, "I didn't come to abolish law, but to fulfill it."
Right, and I tell you that till heaven and earth pass away,
yeah.
not one jot or one tittle,
Right.
okay, will pass away until all is accomplished. Last I looked, heaven and earth was still here. So Jesus is actually saying the law is eternal, because if there's no heaven and no earth, you don't have to have law.
Right.
Well, actually, until we get off the earth with our spaceships and get into, some other planet somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
But what I was going to say is on that, at least in that spot, and there's actually there's about 40 or 50 places. Let me back up, maybe 20, 25 places that I'm aware of where it does look blatantly like Jesus is referring to keeping the laws. So I personally believe that he did teach to keep the law, even though he may not have done it himself based on what everybody wrote about him.
But when Jesus flaunts the law,
yes.
Is that a story of Jesus, or is that somebody inventing a story about Jesus
right.
to make their attitude towards the law look like it actually came from Jesus, which goes to what we were talking about before with pseudepigrapha.
Right.
It's not really Jesus who did it. It's the people who wrote into Jesus's mouth what they themselves believed about the law.
Yep.
Okay, now I know they have the exact that should work. Nope. There it is. 1,050 New Testament commands.
Okay.
There are 1,050 commands in the New Testament for Christians to obey. Due to repetition, we can classify them under 69 headings. This is CAI.org. Okay, under their Bible studies section. 1,050 New Testament commands. If you take a look at the Hebrew Scriptures, start over. If you take a look at the Torah, okay, and every time there's a law, you write it down. God says, do this, whatever. You write it down. That's how you come up with 613. If you take the same systematic approach, when Jesus says, you will do this, okay, Jesus says, abstain from idol. That becomes a law. If you count them exactly the same way, that we come up with 613 laws in the Torah. If you do the same thing with the New Testament, there's over 1,000 laws, and they're classified on this CAI.org website. Christian Assemblies International has it on their website. So, not that I'm promoting them or their,
right?
But anyway,
That's funny.
So it's not only the Hebrew Scriptures that has laws. Okay.
So I'm going to, just for grins, I was just kind of glancing at my list that I actually created a while back. And just to give you an idea, there, just going down the list, Matthew 5:17, we know, John 14, verse 15 and 16, John 12:50, Matthew 22:40, Matthew 23:1, which that was a really great section too. Matthew 5:19, Mark 7, Mark 4, or Matthew 4, Matthew 23, again on verse 23. I mean, all over the Gospels, it's like just tons of not tons, but a lot of references, like Matthew 9:13. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. That was something Jesus said. He was actually referring to Hosea 6:6. And so, well, you could say he was referring to it. I mean, if I was there and I heard him say that, I would say, oh, he's actually teaching to keep up with the prophets, to listen to prophets and know what they're talking about. But apparently, no one else got that memo. So that's just the whole Jesus part. So, and then Paul, there's a whole list of the similar things with Paul. But we've discovered that he's schizophrenic or something. We're not really sure. So I say that like silly, but kind of serious too, So
yeah, kind of serious too. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So is the Earth flat? Come on, Rabbi, tell us. Is this it? Do we have a flat Earth we're dealing with? And what is the flat Earth theory? I can't even imagine if anybody's even seen a picture of a satellite image of the Earth. Maybe I misunderstand what the flat Earth theory is. What is it? What exactly is it? Is it as plain as day?
It says yes. Plain
really?
As day. Very cute. That was cute.
Plain. Oh, you're funny.
The belief that the Earth is
not intended.
is not a sphere, a ball. Okay, floating in space, but is a flat surface, okay, that has an underside and an edge that you can fall over.
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
I don't think it's funny. I think it's pathetic. I think just common sense will tell you that when a little ball of water falls through the air, okay, it forms a sphere, but the wind, as it falls down, the air current pulls some of it up and gives you that teardrop shape.
Right.
But if there's no air, it will naturally form a ball because of equal gravity in it, whatever it's called, that holds it together in a ball. It's not going to come like this. It's going to.
Right.
I don't know how to put that into words.
No, that's fine.
So it's just.
I think I really thought that this whole flat Earth thing that was going around, I thought somebody was just making a joke. Because I'm thinking, if you've ever even been in an airplane, I mean, you can look at the horizon and see their horizon
it's
curve.
Not perfectly flat,
right,
but there's a little bit of an arch like this, kind of like if you took a saucer and turned it upside down.
So Rabbi Singer would be the best one to describe this, because where he is in Jakarta, Indonesia, he said, when I fly to the United States, he goes, no matter which direction I go, I'm 12 hours from home. Or it's 12-hour, whatever it was. He said it's the same exact distance no matter which way I go. So if the Earth is flat, how is he getting to it going the opposite direction? So, I mean, I just don't get it. Anyway, so we won't stick on this. So, oh yeah, that's true. Mitch says, yes, it's flat with tomato sauce and cheese on it. We live on a gigantic pizza. Oh my goodness!
When we do have Passover coming up, and so I'm going to want to talk about the Passover Seder and all that stuff. But that pizza is really all about Jesus, don't you?
Okay, lay it on us.
No pun intended. Lay it on you. Okay. Well, pizza minimally has to have 3 ingredients. 3. There's a trinity. You've got the bread as the first layer. Okay, you have the tomato sauce as the second layer, which interestingly enough is red. And then you've got the cheese on top of the tomato sauce layer. So that's 3 layers minimally. If you don't put anything else on a pizza, you got to have the bread, the bread, the tomato sauce, which is red, and the cheese. So that's clearly about the Trinity. Right. So, the bread, Jesus is called the staff of life, bread of life, okay? The red is the symbolic of the blood, okay, that covers our sin. And remember that the dough underneath the tomato sauce is leaven, and leaven means sin. That's what Christians believe.
Right.
At any rate, okay. And then the cheese goes over the tomato sauce. Okay. Now I forgot what I always say about that one, but you get my point.
Yeah, well, tomato sauce should have been the top topping because it's supposed to be the blood covers everything. So,
Right, yes,
okay,
but it's not. It's the second layer.
Spinning
And
further, the example I always heard was the way to understand the Trinity was using an egg. And the problem with that is the egg, it can be separated. The egg shell can be here and then it's no good. So if you separate God from the Holy Spirit and from Jesus, does that mean he's no good? You're going to throw them away, right? Or vice versa, want to just use the whites or just use the yolk. You can separate them all and they're fully, so it doesn't work.
Yeah, well, tell me something. Which one is of the yolk, the shell, and the egg white is the egg yolk, because that's where all the fat is. Okay, in other words, and by the way, since I can see Jesus in pizza, that proves that the pizza roots of Christianity.
You know what? That's the logic, though. I mean, it sounds like
that's what they say.
It sounds like we're like mocking, but the thing is, it's really not. It's exposing. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, here's the thing. Let's say, for example, if I went and did some toast and there was a face on it, who says it was Jesus' face? Who knows it wasn't Moses? Why is it got to be Jesus, right? I'm pushing
because
that one.
It's called projection.
I know,
it's like a Rorschach.
I'm pushing that really far. But, I mean, you drive down the road and you see telephone poles in the shape of a cross. Hello, does that mean that Jesus is the Messiah because the telephone poles are shaped like a cross? That's the actual logic that Christians use in every single thing to see God behind every cross and Satan underneath every rock, and that's it's something that's hard to break. I was there. I spent years in it, teaching it, and it's very difficult to break. I mean, I was very amazed. And for all you people who are watching this show for the first time, I put a post up on my Facebook friends list, just to my Facebook friends, people that I know personally on Facebook, and there were over 80 people who left Christianity and left the New Testament behind, totally abandoned it, and every single one of them were either preachers, evangelists, pastors, priests, whatever, or preachers' kids, or directly related to someone who had them in church their whole lives. So you can't tell me that all these people are leaving because they're becoming blind for loving Jesus. So they're becoming blind from their studies, right? I mean, these aren't just casual church pew warmers, people who go once, twice a year for Christmas and Easter. These are people who went to school for this stuff, and they were like backing out and just
the people who were ministers were certainly.
So,
but their kids are in open rebellion against their dad.
Yeah, I actually was for a while, but not, But later I went back and I started preaching it. And then I left after I preached it. So I'm open rebellion against God, I guess, at that point. So. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, anything else interesting on the...
Oh, I'm sorry. TJ writes, once you've left Christianity, you see how they've co-opted everything. And you're right, TJ. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Believe in evolution. Can one believe in both Christianity and evolution? I don't know. I know you can certainly believe in Judaism and evolution. Abraham Cook, first chief rabbi of the state of Israel, who also passed away in 48, got all these questions about science, about the temple, the rebuilding, all this other stuff. And I know you're going to ask me chapter and verse where he said it or where you could look it up, but I don't remember.
We can look it up.
But, never can do that stuff. Wish I could. Even as a kid in school, I couldn't. But he said that how we understand science and how we understand the Bible are in fact interrelated. Because if we discover something about science that shows that our understanding of the Bible to be wrong, then we have to change our understanding of the Bible. It's our understanding of the Bible that's wrong, not the Bible itself, which I think is a stroke of genius as far as that goes.
Right.
So can't speak for Christianity, but in Judaism, there's a book I would beg you to get. It's by an MIT, where both of my brothers went to college. That's another story. MIT scientist, whose name I just
Don't worry about the name. You can keep on.
The name of the book is something to the effect of Genesis, God, and the Big Bang, or the Big Bang, Genesis, and God, or the Big Bang, God, and Genesis. It's something like that. Okay, and it's brilliant, and it talks about how the Bible does not contradict science, and if you take a look at what God creates first, it follows the evolutionary line of ocean animals, amphibians, land animals, mammals, human. Human. So it's a brilliant book.
Right.
And he, whose name I can't remember, writes a bunch of books. That one I think was his first, but a bunch of books on the whole issue of science versus religion. I can't think of his name. That's terrible of me.
Fernando Colon says, Christian's favorite line, "You were never saved in the first place." My comment to you is, how was it that I spoke in tongues? And that is a gift of the Holy Spirit. So if I was never saved to begin with, then I should have never been able to speak in tongues. And I know I'm not talking to Fernando. I'm talking to all the Christians out there who say that I backslid or that I am rebellion against God, whatever the case may be, But that's so true. That's what they say. And follow up, T.J. Smith says,
Schroeder.
Or you're backslidden. What'd I say?
Nothing.
Oh,
I
okay.
interrupted. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Delane writes Schroeder, yes. Schroeder.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Schroeder is the person, the author. Now that I have that, I can, get the book.
That's funny. Man, wow! I cannot believe all of the good questions that were flowing through this tonight. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this.
We have got a superior listening audience. That's
yes,
why.
Indeed. We've had tonight. For all you viewers out there, tonight's been the most viewers live at any moment on this particular show. Is 55. That's really good. That's a good number. So, and a lot of you guys are commenting, and that's really keeping us busy. So, the more you guys comment and call in, the better the show will be. So, don't sit on your thoughts. Actually type them up. Just keep it clean because I'm putting these on the show. So if anybody violates that, I'm gonna have to stop showing the stuff on the screen. I think that's a really good thing to have for people to go back and look at. So
EDER.
Wendy Swanson, you missed us. We're literally in the closing minutes of the show. She said she just got here.
Genesis and the Big Bang, the discovery of harmony between modern science and the Bible, Gerald Schroeder. Boy,
okay.
Old man memory. Okay, Genesis and the Big Bang, the discovery of harmony between modern science and the Bible. Okay, Gerald Schroeder. Okay, he's got a bunch of them. All right.
Wow.
Let's see if I can. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, yes. God according to God. A scientist discovers we've been wrong about God all along. The science of God, the convergence of scientific and biblical wisdom. Let's see. The hidden face of God. Science reveals the ultimate truth. Okay. Genesis 1. A physicist looks at creation. Okay, that's only 4 years ago. Publication date. Forget the Genesis 1 book. He wrote that with a Messi, so I'm not going to promote that. At any rate, Gerald Schroeder is the guy that I was talking about. So if you want to see the relationship between evolution and science and the Bible, he's my go-to guy.
Fernando Colon says, Rabbi, did Paul invent the Christian version of Jesus? I mean, we know we have what appears to be two diametrically opposed versions, at least, of the New Testament Bible within their own page-to-page, cover-to-cover section. So what happened? How did he come up with such a dynamically different approach? I mean, like, for example, he never taught about a virgin birth. Did Paul never know that there was a virgin birth? I mean, with Christianity, that is like one of the most important features of their faith. But Paul never mentions that, not even one single time. Why is that?
Probably because he never knew about it. Okay. In other words, The Gospels follow a pattern where Mark is the first gospel to have been written, then Matthew, then Luke, then John. Mark writes his version of the stories that he's been told or heard about Jesus, because he himself, 30 years later, never met Jesus. Okay. He's got this book out, okay, this narrative of Jesus, and the Jews come along and they say, well, wait a minute. I thought the Messiah was supposed to be a direct bloodline descendant from King David. You don't even have a genealogy. How am I supposed to know that Jesus? Matthew comes along, knows the complaints that the Jews had about Mark, so Matthew invents a genealogy. And this kind of thing happens, from Mark to Matthew, Mark to Luke, or Matthew to Luke, and then John has his own weird, mystical view of all of this. So, did Paul invent the Christian version of Jesus? I don't think so, and here's why I say that. I think Paul invented elements of the Christian version, but the basic bottom line, no. Strongly suggest, probably comes up every few weeks that we, on our show, and that is when prophecy fails. When prophecy fails, chief researcher, because this was University of, I think, Wisconsin, University of Minnesota, it's one of those, was Leon Festinger, okay, to help find the book. He studied groups that believed they had a prophecy of a future event and how the group responded when the event did not take place. And it's extremely comparable to the development of Christianity. So you have this idea that Jesus is going to be the Jewish Messiah, going to do all the Jewish concept of Messiah stuff, and instead he dies on a cross, on a Roman cross.
Right.
Okay, so instead of taking over from the Romans and ruling like the real Messiah will do, the Romans kill him. Okay, so they got a choice. They can say, oops, we were wrong, walk away, the end. But the greater investment they had in the idea that was proven to them to be false means they're less likely to give up on that belief. It's a psychological dynamic, and I think that's what eventually created the Christian version of Jesus. So what are the patterns when a group has a prophecy and their reaction when it does not happen? First thing that happens is they set the event that was supposed to happen to the future. We got the date wrong. So instead of Jesus bringing the, days of the Messiah now, second coming, put in the future. The event that's supposed to happen, start over. The event that did happen, even though it shows that you were supposed to have been wrong, now you say had to happen. Jesus was supposed to bring peace and do all the things the real Messiah was supposed to do, but he died on the cross. No. He had to die on the cross to save you from your sin. Okay, so it's okay. Even though they have a zeal in order to get more and more people on their side of what they think is going to happen, when the event doesn't happen, they increase their missionary zeal, and they take that missionizing outside their normal group. So now, instead of just trying to get other Jews to follow Jesus as the Jewish Messiah, now they start going outside their group, which is to the Hellenized world. Okay, the Greek, okay. And it's at that point that you have this change from the Jewish concept of who a Messiah is and what he's supposed to do when he gets here. The utopian ideal under the ideal ruler who is a descendant of the ideal ruler of King David. Okay? And that concept of this Jewish concept of the Messiah gets changed by the followers of Jesus to the Hellenist, pagan, idolatrous, dying, saving man God. Okay? And if you read When Prophecy Fails and take each element and look at Christianity, you'll see that it's a dynamic, and that's the beginning of the split. Right then, when they go from this Jewish idea of the Messiah to this Hellenist, dying, saving man God idea of a Messiah, That's the real time of the split between Christianity and the Jewish community. And it's going to happen among the people who believe the most that Jesus was supposed to be the Jewish idea of the Messiah, because they've got the greatest investment. It's a brilliant book. So, Fernando, I think Paul added stuff later. Okay. I think Paul, with this whole law business there, there's things that Paul added to Christianity, but I really don't think it was Paul who invented the Christian version of Jesus. I think that was a psychological response to the crucifixion, when the followers of Jesus, who thought he was supposed to be the Jewish Messiah, wind up showing that he wasn't, because he died on the cross, and then the psychological dynamic of turning that into what became the Christian version of Jesus.
You know what's really interesting is when I first heard that other religions have this demigod version, just like the dying saving
man God. Yep.
I really thought that people were just trying to throw me off course when I was Christian and Messianic. But the more I'm researching this, the more I'm literally coming across new things. Like I've got a friend who's on Facebook. Her name on Facebook is Oli Diaz, and I think she said she was Cuban, and they have their own version of a demigod dying man god also. And so for all the Christians out there, it's like, you really need to understand this whole idea of a son of God dying for your sins is very pagan. The entire idea of it is totally pagan. Totally pagan. And God says in the Torah, in the Tanakh, it says, "Do not worship me the way other nations serve their gods." And so why would God... Just with that alone, knowing that all these other nations and cultures have these dying, saving man gods, and God said, don't worship me the way that they do, if that was his plan, he would have changed it so it wouldn't happen, just so you wouldn't be violating his law to don't do that. There's so many variables that you guys got to consider. Okay, before we close, I want to throw one more at you. I think you and I talked about it once, about a year or two ago. The Tetragrammaton, okay, so the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey, the sacred spelling of Hashem's name. Okay, Christians and Messianics say that spells out salvation in the pictograms. My comment was not even close, because and I could be wrong. That's why I want to talk to you about it. I want to hear your feedback on this thing. Just like in a concordance you can turn a page and find a word, and it may have 6 or 8 different variables of what that could possibly mean. It doesn't mean it means all of them in the context of one sentence. It means it can be this, it can be that, it can be this, it can be that, right? And so it's very easy if I wanted to literally convince my wife God spoke to me and said, hey, make me this for dinner, and look here, I'll prove it to you using a concordance. I could do it, because there's so many variable choices to choose from. But the context of every verse is what's going to tell you which one to pick that will actually fit that course. And keep in mind the concordance was not written by a Jew. So with that said, if you were to just generalize, the Yud and the Hey and the Vav, they say the Yud is the hands, and then the Hey was spread open, and the Vav is a stake, and it's like this picture of Jesus dying on a cross. But then you go historically, did he even die on a cross, period? If the Roman executions, was it even really a cross? I've heard it was not even a cross, that it was actually a pole or a stake or something that was more economical and more blah, blah, blah.
Exactly, because wood was at a premium when you're talking about the Eastern Mediterranean coastline.
Right. So any further comments on that? Because...
Yeah, and in a nutshell, my answer is, figures don't lie, but liars figure. In other words, they will take... Somebody even said this already. They'll take everything and Christologize it, make it all about their Jesus. Anything, including pizza, like we were talking about earlier, can be interpreted to be talking about anything we want it to be talking about.
Okay, John Anon has just come with us again. He says, now this I definitely want you to take, and we're definitely closing on this. So John, pay attention, please. He says, Jews blind to Jesus.
He's not going to pay attention. The whole point of
But we can comment on it, though, for future viewers.
Oh, we can comment on it, but we're not going to. It's called planting the seed of faith. Planting the seed of faith. Planting the seed of faith. Yeah.
Right.
Whatever. Okay, go ahead.
So he says, Jews blind to Jesus, Christians blind to seeing Messiah ben Joseph, and Messiah ben David. One house sees one, and the other house sees the other. There are two, are three, two earthly rulers. Blah 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 blah. But his point is, John is very much Christian. John and address the first part and the whole thing about
it's a case in point.
Okay.
Okay, that you can take anything at all and interpret it any way you want to.
Okay.
And so they hear about this, the Messiah, the son of Joseph. Who? Jesus' daddy was Joseph. No, he wasn't. According to Christian theology, he was, God. That's one thing. Second of all, the term Messiah, the son of Joseph, doesn't mean anybody whose daddy's name was Joe.
Right.
Okay.
It's specific.
It means, I'm sorry?
It's specific to a tribe.
It's specific to a tribe. In other words, Jesus is portrayed as the son of David. David was from the house of Judah. Mm-hmm. The only time the word Joseph ever appears, in regard to a genealogy, is to the man Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born. Jesus was born of Mary, but Joseph wasn't the daddy.
Right.
He wasn't the sperm donor. Let's be very base in our speech.
Right.
Okay. So what is going on? And if I can pull up the source material if you want real quickly.
Sure.
But okay, give me a second.
Yep.
Or here, maybe I'll
take a few more minutes.
All right. All right. The point while I'm waiting to find all the source material in Jewish writings, okay. What did they do that? Okay. Let's see. Browse and come on. And okay. And let's go. Bingo. That wasn't so bad. Okay. Let's see. All right. Thank you to the man I call my rabbi, Moshe Shulman. Rabbinic sources, Pesikta Zetrusa, Parshat Balak, Midrashim on Mashiach from the Otzar Midrashim, Sefer Zerubbabel, Rabbeinu Saji Gaon on Emunah Videos, Book 8 from Chapter 5, Responsa from Rabbeinu Hai Gaon, Otzar Chaim, page 3. Okay, look, the point is that here's what we know of the Jewish interpretation of this two messiahs bit. Okay, first of all, the Messiah, the son of Joseph, that is the descendant of the son of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham, lives at the same time as the Messiah, the son of David.
They will be contemporaries.
They're contemporaries to each other.
Both human, by the way.
Both totally human.
Both human.
The whole idea of mother is human, father is God, as I forgot, I don't have it up again anymore. Delane, don't let me leave tonight without talking about this Paleo-Hebrew stuff. I'm being nice. Okay, but at any rate, somebody was talking about, thank you, Grant Dunn, Mithraism. Okay, and you were talking about how the pagan religions echo what Christianity became. Okay, Hercules' mother was human, Alcmene, and his father was Zeus. His mother was human, his father was God, can just as well be said about Jesus as it is about Hercules, Dionysus, who, by the way, was called the Savior God. At any rate, this whole thing about the Messiah, the son of Joseph, is your warlike person who is like a general in the army of the war of Gog against Magog, of the good against the bad. And by the way, it's not God coming down to fight the war. It's humans fighting other humans, humans that are good fighting humans that are bad, okay, nations who want to destroy Israel, okay, and in the battle, not on a cross, not by a ruling power, But in the battle of war of Gog against Magog, the Messiah, the son of Joseph, okay, the son of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham, dies in battle. The Messiah, the son of David, which means from the tribe of Judah. And remember, in the New Testament, Jesus is never portrayed as being anything but the Messiah, the son of David. Okay, he's never portrayed, the only time, that's what I was saying earlier, the name Joseph only appears in the genealogy as the husband of Mary. Okay, yes, there are other Josephs, but that's not the point. Okay, Jesus is always portrayed everywhere in the New Testament as being a descendant of David, which means the tribe of Judah, not the tribe of Joseph. When the Messiah, the son of David, comes on the battle scene, he starts the resurrection of the people who are dead by resurrecting the Messiah, the son of Joseph. None of that even remotely reflects anything found in the Christian's New Testament. None of it. Okay, so the idea that Jesus, is the son of Joseph and he does all the thing, and then later is when we have that's the whole second coming crap that they made up because they have to defend the idea that Jesus didn't do anything. So, like we were talking about earlier from the book, When Prophecy Fails, put it off to the future.
Right.
Right.
Okay, try closing with Delaine's question.
Oh, the Paleo-Hebrew.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
The people, Delane, who talk about Paleo-Hebrew and that all this interpretation they want to give and talking about the Torah instead of the Torah, okay, or Yahweh, okay, as opposed to the Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey, okay, the instead of all these weird names are coming up with for God and Yahusha and all this other stuff because that's the Paleo-Hebrew. Are these people going to start speaking Shakespearean English because that's the original English and we have to get back to the original?
Right.
It's crazy. It is. The real reason why they do it is quite simple. They want to appear more knowledgeable and more Jewish than the Jews.
Right.
They want to show through arrogance, okay, that the rabbis are know-nothings, okay, but we're the ones who really know what the Torah really says, which is all about our Yahusha or Yehoshua or Yeshua or Yeshu or whatever they're calling him this week.
Oh, do the breakdown.
And they don't even understand Aramaic. You take a look at their Paleo-Hebrew transliterated conveniently into English letters, English words, okay, and you take their pronunciation, and we know the vowels, okay, how do you take the four-letter name for God and then take the vowels that they claim, the pronunciation they claim, and make those four letters pronounce the name they think it says? It's grammatically impossible. It cannot happen.
Explain.
If I had a blackboard behind me, okay, but then I'd have to,
We're going to do that one time, okay? So get you a little mini blackboard, and you can just hold it right there and draw and do whatever. You got one handy?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That's okay.
I could do pencil and paper and try to show it up to the screen.
If you want to, it's up to you.
Let's
save it. Let's save it for another time because I want to get into what you mentioned one time before too about the spelling or about the pronunciation.
Yes, you're right. All that stuff,
right,
being nice, is from the Paleo-Hebrew because that's the original Hebrew, and I just want somebody to give me a archaeological find that shows everything that these Paleo-Hebrew people say is indicated on this archaeological find instead of being made up as they go along because it's convenient and it helps them feel arrogant like they know more than the Jews and they're the real Jews. If you can't tell, I will tell you, it really pisses me off.
Right. Well, let's close her up for tonight.
There was something else you wanted to. You said one more thing or something.
Yeah, I think we were going to hold off till next week, I guess.
Write it down. We don't forget.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Okay. So, so y'all, we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. And by the way, the studio is coming along great. If you want to pitch in, I would really appreciate it. Actually just kind of tapped out on the funds this week, getting installation and 2x4. So I'm kind of a little sweat.
Okay,
here and there.
wait. Don't.
Okay.
Here, wait. I don't know that this is going to work.
What do you got?
Okay. Wait a minute.
Now that's just silly. John Anon says it uses Mary's father's genealogy. That doesn't even make sense. Okay, anyway, don't even comment on that because we don't have time.
Okay, I hope that helps. Wait, why didn't that? Did you turn everything off?
No, we're still recording live.
I tried to put. Okay, wait a minute. Let me take this off. Because it's probably too much to go into a comment. Cut that. Now I hit return.
Oh yeah, it'll only give. You can only do.
Not working. I don't know
you
why.
can only do like 2 lines. If you're typing a paragraph, you got to break it up in 3 different comments. So, yeah. It was,
just give me 1 minute then, and let me do it for whoever just asked me.
Okay, cool. So while you're doing that, I'll kind of.
Okay, and I'm just taking it as I have it. Okay. Let's do this. Sorry to take so long.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I was going to. So for you people, if you
that worked.
Oh, cool. Okay, good deal.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait. Okay, then we go. Let's say from here to let's say here. Okay, this is the.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, wait. Give me 1 second.
Pasikta Zetrusa, Parsha Spalach.
Yeah. Wait. Okay, and then wait a minute. So where did I? Okay. So then Sajika.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Rabbi. I'll tell you what. I'll talk. You type. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll talk. You type. Okay, so if you want to help out with the building studio, you can go to tanaktalk.com. There is a PayPal button at the bottom or a donate button at the top, or also have a Patreon account too, patreon.com/TanakTalk. So, but anyway, yeah. So any additional help would be greatly appreciated. So, and someone just sent in a really nice donation. It saved my butt actually. That actually helped out with this last one. I've got the utilities. I finally got set up for a meter loop to run to the building, and it's like three times more expensive than what they quoted me. So, sweating a little bit, no problem. But hey, we're gonna get there regardless, no matter what. So, but I do appreciate everything that you guys are doing out there. So thank you all, and really appreciate you showing up.
Okay, for those who want to know, I'm putting up the source material for the rabbinic writings all about the Messiah, the son of Joseph. This is from Moshe Shulman. Wait a minute. Let me make. I think that's it. Is that it? Yes, I think that's it. Right. That's what I have. That's what he gave me. Okay.
Cool.
I hope that helps.
Hey, absolutely. Any information is helpful as long as it's getting us to the right place. Man, it has been a really cool show, and it's been an hour and a half almost, but it sure doesn't feel like it. I feel like it's been about 45 minutes or less. So, anyway, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great show. Awesome comments. And now all these comments from now on will be forever captured on the YouTube videos, so we can go back and check things out, bring them up next time, whatever. Y'all can go back and watch them. If we didn't cover any questions, send me the question that you found on a video, and we'll try to address it that way too. So it's been
Good
great.
idea.
It's been great. Rabbi, I had a great time.
My pleasure, always is.
We had like 63 viewers tonight at one time. That's really cool, man. That's like
cool.
that's like totally a record high. Put you right up there with Rabbi Singer's live streams.
Not even close.
So anyway, it's been fun, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you all on the other side. Shavuot Tov, and Chag Purim Sameach to all you guys. That's coming up. And sorry, Rabbi, I turned you down.
I'll tell you.
Now, there you go. Okay. All right, we'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.